What's up, guys? It's your boy, John Douglas Chapman, and we are here today again at Tri-State Photo and Video, episode 2. And yeah, man, I'm getting consistent with this, trying to get this done, trying to make this happen. So without further ado, let's get into the show. All right, so today we're going to talk about composite work. This is one that usually people ask me the most about. I post pics here and there and stuff that I do for clients and various people, and people always ask me, how did you do that? How did you do this? I've done workshops and things about it in the past, and it's usually one of the biggest things people ask me about. Composite work is a lot to cover, really is a whole lot to cover. So I'm not going to get into everything today, but I'm going to cover a little bit of it. And what I'm going to talk about today is a particular client I had. It was a couple. They're getting ready for their wedding, and basically they wanted me to shoot. They didn't want me to shoot. They wanted me to edit, I should say, a wedding invitation for them. And they wanted the wedding invitation to look like a romantic movie poster, that kind of thing. Think like Notebook, romantic comedies, stuff like that. So that's what they wanted me to base it off of, and what we decided to create. And it was really cool. It was something really unique. It's not something I get asked to do very often. Actually, it's the first time I ever got asked to do it, so it was really cool. And I most definitely jumped at the opportunity to do it. The client was super cool and was willing to, send me a bunch of everything I asked for to be able to do this. That's one big thing that always happens, is that when it comes especially to composite work, believe it or not, I turn down a lot of clients because they either price range is, not even minutely close to what this costs, and they don't understand the work that it entails and blah, blah, blah. Or a lot of times it's hard to where they just don't communicate well and things like that. And you have to get so specific with things because it's so much entailed to create this. And if you don't do it right, then the client's not happy, and then you got to revise it and do it over and over again. And it turns into a whole thing, and it can be a big waste of time and blah, blah, blah. So it's very important that a lot of kind of ducks line up in a row. And this client was awesome, and everything we did and worked out was really awesome, and it went really, really well. So today what I'm going to talk about mainly with it is basically kind of the first steps. The first steps of how do you make a picture that you start a composite of start to come together. Now, I'm not going to talk about everything dealing with composite work, because literally that would take days upon days. It is a lot to cover. It is covering every fundamental of Photoshop, every fundamental of understanding of artwork and artistry itself. It's a lot. It's a lot to cover. I will cover this in a lot of different segments, but for now, we're just going to cover this kind of main part. And this is a part that I tend to see people get tripped up the most of, which is, how do I make everything look like it goes together? How do I take all these different pictures that are basically cutouts and make them look like they all go together? All right. And there are other tutorials, or tons of tutorials on this, but people tend to have their own renditions of it, or I don't want to hate on any YouTubers, but I tend to see this a lot where they tend to over-explain or make things complicated in ways that they don't need to be. So it's complicated, so you have to come back and keep watching their video. I've seen that more times than I can count. And I'm not hating on anybody. There's a lot of talented people who are honestly sometimes more talented than me in doing this stuff. But my thing is, man, I'm not here to rip people off. I'm not here to just make some YouTube channel all big and stuff and try and make a bunch of money. I'm here to really try and help my group, help people involved, and try and grow, man. For real. And I think doing that from being honest and being real about stuff is the way to go. So that's kind of what I'm going to cover and go over today, and show you a couple tips and tricks that just really the first couple steps I do to how to make a composite go together. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys like it. And yeah, let's go from there. Okay, so here we are again. And yeah, let's get into it. So basically, I'm going to show you guys, once again, I'm not going to go over everything of just pretty much how I do composite work and just, how I create the picture and everything else and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go into everything because we would be here all day. That's a lot to cover. If you guys want me to cover more different stuff on composite, work, by all means, please leave some things in the comments and I'll be sure to cover that. Any questions that you guys may have, just ask me. Just ask me, leave stuff in the comments, leave stuff in the group, and I'll answer it. For now, I want to get into and really show you guys just kind of the first couple steps on how you just make everything, especially color-wise, look like they go together. Just make the whole picture look like it fuses together. Now, disclaimer, I guess you could say, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat in doing this. There's a lot of different ways in Photoshop and how they show how you do this. I'm showing you guys kind of what I feel is the fastest way and the way I kind of gravitate to the most, all right? There are other ways to do it. I do know the other ways. You want me to show the other ways? Please let me know. But for now, I'm going to show you kind of the best, easiest, fastest way I feel that you can do this, all right? All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to, now you see I have two separate pictures here, all right? I have just the cutout of the couple, and then I have the background that I'm trying to infuse them with, okay? So these are kind of the two main things that I want to do. Now the background is actually a whole bunch of different layers too, but we're not gonna get into that today. The biggest thing is just how do you make kind of your main cutout and the background look like they go together? And it's very simple how you do this, okay? So the first thing that you're gonna do is you're going to go down to this half circle icon right here. You're going to click on that. It's going to bring up your adjustment layers, and we're going to click on curves adjustment layer. All right. From the curves adjustment layer, we're going to hit Control. Okay. On your PC, it'll probably be right click. I'm on a Mac. All right. Control, and we're going to go to create clipping mask. All right. Or right click clipping mask. All right, and the reason we're doing that is so the clipping mask is going to attach itself to just the layer of the couple and nothing else, okay? So once the clipping mask is on the couple, what we're then going to do, and I apologize for the shaky camera, my hand is shaking the desk. So the next thing we're going to do is make sure that this, the adjustment layer, notice how I'm clicking over on two sides here, okay? If you see me here, one is the masking tool, the masking layer, and the other is the actual tool of curves. All right, sorry for the phone as well. We're going to click on the curves, and then we're going to go up to here to where it says Auto. Now you're going to hit Alt or you're going to hit Option, depending on your PC or Mac, and you're going to hold that down and regular click, left click on the Auto button. It's going to bring up this kind of secret menu here, all right, which is called Auto Color Corrections Options. All right, we're going to go, first thing you want to do in this option is you want to make sure this button right here for snap neutral midtones is off, and then we're going to go up here to find dark and light colors. Now as soon as you click on that, the snap neutral midtones might be clicked. Just make sure to click it off. You don't want that on. All right, and then notice here you're going to have a thing here for shadows, midtones, and clips. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure we're going to work off of the shadows, midtones, and lights. And what we're going to do is we're going to first click on the shadows, and we're going to go into the background picture. All right, so that's everything that's in the background, not the couple. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on what we feel is kind of the darkest point of the background. Now, here's the thing. We want to click on the darkest point that we feel is the kind of overall color of the picture. Because you notice there's a lot of colors in this background, all right? So we want to click on what we feel is like the dominant dark color of the picture, right? And if you look, that's kind of a combination of blue and tan, all right? So if it's blue and tan, we're probably going to click either somewhere in this mountain, somewhere in the sky, or somewhere dark in the sand, okay? We want to find kind of the middle ground. So the middle ground is actually kind of this water here. So we're going to click the dark in the middle here. And as you notice, it brought up kind of a greenish tint, so forth, within the couple. I'm going to go a little darker and click on the sky, actually. And so that's kind of the darkest midpoint, darkest shadow color, I should say, within that color here. And we're going to hit OK. Then we're going to go to the midtone, and the midtone is going to be kind of somewhere around probably where we were before with the green. And then we're going to go to the highlight, and the highlight is going to be probably the yellow, okay? And we're going to hit OK. So what we're doing here is we're kind of blending this couple to match, all right, a little bit of the background. Now this is not going to be perfect. We don't want it to be perfect just yet. We just kind of want it to kind of look like it kind of fuses the couple together a little bit, all right? So that's kind of where we're at with it. It's not perfect. If you want, you can play around. We're gonna click on highlights again, and we're gonna see kind of wherever else we wanna go. I kind of like where the highlights were. Oopsie, and I just lost where the highlights were. Right there. Take it up a little bit more actually. And you know, you can kind of play around, find it where you want. We're going to take the midtones again. What the, oh, that's because I'm doing that, my bad. Midtones, a little bit of the greenish teal, and then the lights, let's see, let's get a light part, there we go. There, all right. So right there we got the shadows kind of a dark blue, the midtones kind of a greenish teal, and the highlights kind of a light brown. That's kind of hitting all the different points of what the background is, all right? We're going to hit OK. Now this part comes up. Now you notice when I first clicked on the image, it had all these different colors and so forth. That's because I accidentally hit yes. You hit yes when you want to apply this to another image the same. I don't want to do that, and I will tell you guys for the most part, don't do that. Just hit no, okay? Hit no, it's going to take you to here, and this is kind of where we're at. So before, after, before, after. Now it's a little bit much, okay? There's a couple different ways to bring back a little bit, and this is the different ways I'm going to show you. The first way is go to your opacities menu here, and I'm going to go down to soft light. All right. So before, after, before, after, before, after. You're kind of starting to see a little bit of how it's coming together. Okay. From here, I'm then going to double click on the image, and it's going to bring up your layer styles. Now in the layer styles, there's this one menu that's going to come in handy a lot for a lot of different things that you do, and that is blend if, okay? What blend if does is it kind of takes kind of the darks, lights, and midtones, and it kind of gives you an option to kind of separate them a little bit and blend them together. I'm going to use it now with underlining layer. And what we're going to do is hold Alt or Option depending on your PC or Mac. And we're just simply, what it's going to do is going to split the slider here. As you see, it literally split it in half. And we're going to move it over some, all right? Just a little bit, just enough so it's not so dark as you see. And it's just kind of blending it in a bit. And we're going to hit OK. And so you can see before, after, before, after. All right, so now the next step that we're going to do is this is just another step in how you kind of blend it together. Now here's the interesting thing. You don't have to use these two together. You can use curve separate, or you can use this option separate, or you can use them together. It just all kind of depends on the image and what you're doing, all right? So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go down to the background again, and I'm going to hit Command J to duplicate the layer. If you're on PC, I believe it's going to be Control J, I believe. Or you can just right click on the option if you're on PC and go to duplicate layer. It's up to you, all right? Once you duplicate the layer of the background that we're focusing on, so we're only going to focus on the background here, all right? I'm going to take that background and I'm actually going to move it to the very top. So the background is actually going to cover everything else, all right? From the background covering everything else, I'm once again going to go to the opacity commands, all right, or options I should say, and I'm going to go down to color, all right? So as you notice, what color does is it kind of wraps everything around in the color. Now it's going to look a little freaky now because it's kind of taking kind of the main color and blending around. Don't worry about that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to filter, we're going to go to blur, and we're going to go to average, all right? And what average does is average takes kind of the average color in the picture and blur the entire picture to that one color, all right? Sounds a little weird, right? But what it does is it now, as you see, is giving us kind of this average color of everything over it. And the fact that we put the color opacity in color, it's giving us basically the neutral color of everything, all right? And as we see, it's like this like opaque, burnt, I can't even say it's burnt umber. It's like just a muddy brown, basically, okay? We're then going to take, you got two ways to do this. We can go back to blend if, or we can just go to the opacity itself and we can take it down. We can take the opacity down to 30%. Let's try 50%. Let's try 20%, 25%. You can play around with it. Or we can just double click on it, go to blend if, once again, hit that alt option to split the slider, and we can bring it back, which I actually kind of like. So we're gonna pull it back a bit. Cool, and we're actually still gonna take the opacity down to 50%. So before, after, let's take the opacity actually to 70%. And so basically what we did, if you notice, we kind of created now a very, very neutral color for this whole thing, all right? In video terms, you would kind of call this a log, all right? It's just kind of making everything a flat neutral color and bringing up high dynamic range to kind of reveal everything in the picture and make the picture kind of a neutral color to work off of. And that's what we're kind of doing. Because the more that you have kind of a neutral color to work off with the entire image, and then slowly start implementing colors into the picture, the more you're going to have kind of a solid looking picture. And I'll show you guys what I mean in a minute. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more step. I'm going to click on this little half tool again, and I'm going to go to hue and saturation. And I'm going to take the saturation down to about -10, sometimes -20. I usually don't go any further than that. I usually stay in 5. So 20, 15, 10. It just kind of depends where you're at with it. And kind of how. So if you see it going like too gray, then maybe you want to go less than 20, all right? Either 15, 10, whatever. So for me, I'm going to go to about 15, -15. That seems to be a good place to be. All right. I'm just making sure here. All right, sorry about that. And then, all right, the next thing I'm going to do is, that's actually about it. So we're at 15, and as you guys see already now, everything is kind of this like neutral color. Everything is like kind of the same color, which is like this muddy brown. But it's not, but it's not all fully the same color, but it's very close to it, right? You still see a little bit of green and stuff like that, but everything kind of has this neutral tone to it, okay? So now, here's the interesting part. I'm going to go down to this half circle again. I'm going to go to color lookup this time, all right, which brings up this menu, which is the 3D LUT menu. See where it says load 3D LUT? Now, I have a lot of different LUTs and presets and different kind of colors and stuff in here. It doesn't really matter. You can download these and find these. I'm thinking about putting up some LUTs of my own sometime soon. I create my own as well. But I just kind of want to play with this and show you guys what happens, all right? So I'm just going to randomly click on a LUT. I'll click on some of the ones that I like off of this. So let's go to Spy. And see what it does? See how everything in this picture now all this suddenly goes together? All right, I'm gonna click on another LUT, just random. Let's see your Cafe La Motte, because I like the way that sounds. Everything goes together. Doesn't look great, but everything goes together. Arrival, boom, it's from a movie. These are some movie LUTs I have here. Doris, which is like a weird LUT I have that separates colors. One of my favorites on here is Cinema. So already you see, it's starting to blend a lot of everything together, and everything looks like it goes together a lot better, all right? It's not perfect yet. There's still a lot of other things. There's still a lot of things that I would do. I would still go into color grading and a lot of other stuff. But these are kind of some of the first steps that I would do, and just showing you kind of just within the LUTs. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use a LUT. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know this movie. Let's go to The Witcher. I have some of the LUTs of the color grades they use in The Witcher. and let's hit on one of them. Boom. Starts to go together, right? Let's click on another. Now it depends on mood and tempo or what we want to do here. But you see they all go together, all right? And for whatever reason you think that everything feels like way off, right? Let me click on another one. Teal and Orange Plus is a normal, that's a little too much. The West look, right? Wes Anderson, right? So let's say you say like, okay, it's a little too much. Don't forget, we can always take things back. Opacity, let's take the opacity back. Let's go back down to the hue saturation. Let's maybe take that back down to like 10, right? The overall color that we did with blur average, we can take that back some. It's 70% right now. Let's take it to 50. Actually, let's take it to 30. And boom, and you start to see everything starts to go together a lot better, all right? So I hope this was helpful. This is a quick tip on how to do it. Once again, there's still a lot of techniques, a lot of stuff that I would do even after this. Once again, going into color grading and all that kind of stuff. Color grading is its own beast. That's going into color theory and a lot of other stuff. If you guys want to learn that, let me know. I'll do some tutorials on that and stuff like that. But for the most part, I really wanted to cover just some really quick tips and tricks on how you make everything go together. I hope this was helpful.